Our foundation holds much in common with AWS. We were both born in the digital age. We both question everything. We attempt to leverage technology as a first solution for complex problems. We aspire to have our impact resonate around the globe. But one thing we don't have in common is the goal to celebrate anniversaries. We are happy to say to AWS, congratulations on 10 years, but in our organization, what we're trying to do is actually go out of business, so no anniversary celebrations for us. Brain diseases are becoming more prevalent with our aging population. 3 out of 5 people will develop a brain disease in their lifetimes. Our foundation was launched in 2000 to accelerate development of a cure for Parkinson's disease. Parkinson's is the second most common brain disease after Alzheimer's, with an estimated 5 million people worldwide. That's compared to maybe 30 million people worldwide with Alzheimer's. And Parkinson's is the 14th leading cause of death in the US. The disease kills brain cells that produce dopamine, and it causes a range of symptoms beyond the rest tremor that most people are accustomed to seeing, from rigidity to slow movement, depression, and cognitive dysfunction. There is no cure, and in the vast majority of cases, we still don't even know the cause. Getting to better treatments is hard. First of all, we actually don't know very much. It's also expensive. Central nervous system disorder drugs cost about $1.5 to $2 billion to develop. And by the way, that's just the drugs that help us treat symptoms. We don't have anything that helps us modify the course of the disease. And of course, it takes way too long. Believe it or not, 20 to 30 years to develop our symptomatic treatments. While there are many elements about the medical research enterprise that are broken, we decide we have to be sober about what it takes, but we are going to embrace the best of what we know. And we work hard to illuminate the most promising avenues towards a breakthrough. It's not just about advancing drugs. We've spent hundreds of millions of dollars advancing drug targets. But we've come to appreciate it's also about measuring if the drugs are working, and if those drugs can in fact have an impact on the symptoms or progression of the disease. We're proud to have gained a reputation for leadership and collaboration among academics, the pharma industry, the regulators, and the people and families who are living with Parkinson's disease. Parkinson's was first characterized by James Parkinson in 1817, so nearly 200 years ago. Our bigger world is practically unrecognizable from his, yet astonishingly, we are still diagnosing and measuring Parkinson's disease in nearly the same way we did back then. In this age of instant information, cloud computing, and new medicine, specialists diagnose and measure the progression of Parkinson's disease by asking their patients to do this. And walk down the hall, measure their arm swing, take a look, push them back, see how they fall. Yep, those are our best tools, blunt as they are, and with a sampling rate of 1 to 2 times a year. Not only is this insufficient for a physician who's working to try to understand how is this patient doing, where are they in the course of their disease, and try to provide the best care, but it turns out that the lack of our ability to measure the symptoms and understand the underlying progression of disease has a real negative impact on our ability to speed drug development. At the Michael J. Fox Foundation, we've been leveraging technology to try to revolutionize this status quo. And we've been trying to create some solutions for the scientific community so that we can attack some of our biggest challenges, such as, can we better understand the disease, its symptom profiles, and its progression, and what could we do to put all that data out for the scientific community worldwide? Everyone engaged in the Parkinson's community wants more data. It's become clear that so much more of this data actually needs to come from the patients themselves. In addition to funding hundreds of drug targets to build the therapeutic pipeline, our foundation has also launched a series of landmark initiatives that center around collecting, analyzing, and sharing patient data. It started in a significant way with a longitudinal clinical study called the Parkinson's Progression Marker Initiative. That was back in 2010, and since then, we've enrolled about 1,000 volunteers. As we've collected, standardized, stored, and shared this extensive data set, it includes brain scans, clinical assessments, biosamples such as blood, cerebral spinal fluid, urine, and DNA, all with the hope of better defining and predicting the disease course. We have invested tens of millions of dollars just in this one study to map the disease. And the value seems to be there. We've been able to attract over 20 industry partners who've stepped up to help share the costs. That tells us we're on to gathering the right information. This effort is generating new insights about Parkinson's, in part through an open access data structure, through which data has been downloaded over 500 million times by researchers across the globe. And this is a study that's still going on. So as soon as we had enough data so it was de-identifiable, we put it out, and researchers have been downloading and publishing papers and gaining insights. Of course, we'd like to quadruple the size of this study, because we know that having more data can lead to faster impact. More data, real-time sharing, faster progress. But even when we were building the infrastructure to find those first 1,000 patients, we began to realize, and this was 10 years ago, that we actually needed to rally a far greater number of patients, not only for that study, but for all clinical studies in PD, where the standard for enrollment is a meager 1 patient per month at a site. So when you think about what it takes to develop drugs, if you can't get folks into these trials, you are going to slow your progress. And just the time from phase 1 to FDA approval, which is typically 10 to 15 years, almost half of that time is devoted simply to recruiting the patients. So the year after PPMI launched, we built Fox Trial Finder to meet that need. It's kind of a match.com. You go online, you put in a profile, you tell us a little bit about your disease, any family history, your symptoms, what medications you're taking, and we try to match you with clinical trials in your area that need you. And we provided an inner tool way for you to connect to the clinical sites, and a backdoor for the clinical sites to actually look at profiles and maybe ping some folks and say, hey, you might be a good fit for our trial. Today, we have more than 56,000 people registered in that tool. This helps support patient recruitment. By the way, I should say, anybody in this audience who has a loved one with Parkinson's, please get them online. Go to Fox Trial Finder. And we need people who aren't patients but are related to patients. You too can get in this and help us make a difference. After we launched Fox Trial Finder, we realized there's an entire untapped pool of people who weren't going to show up and conveniently be located near the study that needed them, but could do self-reporting of their own data to give us greater insights into the lived experience of disease, the so-called phenotypic data. Ideally, we can match significant phenotypic data with the 3 terabytes of data in an individual's genome scan. Now you're talking about getting big data connected for Parkinson's. Given the heterogeneity of Parkinson's disease, for self-reported data to be useful, we need to collect it at scale. Frequent inputs from thousands of contributors. Our foundation is a trusted leader in the field, and it's likely the only one really positioned to do this. We have the ability to engage the patients, to collect the data, and mind you, it needs to be the right data, and then effectively make it available to the care, research, and even the regulatory communities. So we set about building a virtual research study called FoxInsight. Our Fox Trial Finder community and beyond are offered the opportunity to contribute to research as part of their daily routines. No visit to the doctor or research setting required. We've built web and mobile portals, both powered by state-of-the-art data computation algorithms that turn vast oceans of information into vital insights for drug development. Technology may enable us to go faster and further. As part of FoxInsight and in partnership with Intel, we are piloting the use of wearable sensors to passively, objectively, and constantly measure Parkinson's symptoms, and again, trying to get that at scale. Although big data may be the norm for many of you in this room today, this is a relatively new and exciting type of data for the Parkinson's world, and it's a seismic improvement over this. Imagine patients now can put on a wearable device, a Nike Fuel Band. In our study, they're using smartwatches, and transmit data via their smartphones to the cloud. We can monitor patients' movements, their tremor, sleep quality, even any measurable element of Parkinson's disease 24/7. And we collect about 150 data points per second, which is over 4 million data points per person per day. Since our beta launch last year, we have 4,000 participants enrolled in FoxInsight, and we're conducting 5 studies now to try to validate the power of this patient-reported data and the objective data that's being captured from the wearables. We have already collected nearly 1 million hours of watch data alone. We are thankful for the opportunity to store that data in an efficient and secure manner on AWS, since every dollar we save in the cost of providing this data to the world goes right back into research. We are grateful to Intel, who is using machine learning to develop algorithms to organize that data so we can report it back in real time, the insights that we're finding to physicians and researchers. And we really hope that this can be used to transform care and the clinical trial setting. As you can see, our relationship with data and information is a case study in evolution. And the complexity has led us to realize that we likely have an endless appetite for innovation and technology. But our tools are only as powerful as the networks of patients and families we can mobilize to use them, and our ability to share that data with the global scientific and drug development community. We've come a long way from our earliest days when technology literally meant a website that looked like a movie trailer that was created from some of Michael's friends in Hollywood. We're grateful now to have real technology partners, many in this room, and with their help and your help in Parkinson's, we are shifting state-of-the-art to replace status quo. And that is helping us, we believe, speed our progress on a path to finding a cure for Parkinson's. Thank you.